Right before the SATs, my stepsister, Ashley, was diagnosed with diabetes. But my stepmother, who always doted on her, pulled her out of school and started feeding her nothing but sweets at home. I tried to warn Ashley to take it easy, that her blood sugar would skyrocket, and she could end up needing amputations. She ignored me, ate even more, and her health got worse and worse. Then, on the day the SAT scores were released, my stepmother put a gold choker she'd made around my neck. The next thing I knew, I'd swapped bodies with Ashley. I dragged my necrotic limbs across the floor, squirming in a panic. But Ashley, now in my body, just laughed and threw a piece of cake at me. "You bitch. You dared to mock me? Now you can just die. I'm the valedictorian now." My stepmother dragged me to a shady clinic, where they amputated my arms and legs, turning me into a living torso to be used by sadistic clients to vent their rage. I lived in agony in a ceramic jar for 2 years before finally dying of sepsis. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day Ashley was diagnosed with diabetes. This time, it's their turn to see what it's like to be a living torso. "Ashley, diabetes isn't a reason to drop out of school. The SATs are only 2 months away." When my dad heard Ashley was threatening to quit school, he took a day off work to come home and talk her down. For once, my stepmother didn't back him up. "Honey, diabetes only gets worse if you wait. It's not like we're short on money. She can just take the exams next year." She smiled and stuffed a piece of cake into Ashley's hand, then pretended to be fair by offering one to me. My stomach clenched, and my hand instinctively pulled back. The cake hit the floor with a splat. My dad's brow furrowed, and he immediately started yelling at me. "Holly, what is wrong with you? Can you go one day without causing trouble? If you don't want to live here, then get the hell out." Normally, my stepmother would have launched into her sweet and innocent act, fanning the flames of my dad's anger. But this time she actually defended me. "Honey, it was just a piece of cake. Why are you being so harsh with Holly? I'm sure she didn't mean it." She picked up the rest of the cake and let Ashley eat to her heart's content. She even claimed that diabetics needed to eat more sweets. "Fighting fire with fire," she said, was the only way to cure the disease. In my last life, I had pleaded with Ashley. I told her to listen to the doctors, not her mother's crazy talk. I warned her that if her diabetes got worse, amputation would be the least of her worries. But Ashley wouldn't listen. She just got angry and moved out of the house. The SATs were right around the corner, so after trying a few times, I gave up. With my stepmother and stepsister gone, the tension between my dad and me started to ease. The day my scores came out, my dad was so ecstatic he booked the best restaurant in the city to celebrate. After a huge meal, my stepmother finally showed up late. She gave me a gold necklace she'd made herself and insisted on putting it on for me. Less than 2 minutes later, I felt dizzy and collapsed. When I woke up, I found I had switched bodies with Ashley. I was a bloated pig with twisted, deformed limbs, unable to even walk. And Ashley, in my body, had become the celebrated valedictorian everyone envied. That's when I understood. Ashley had always coveted my looks, my grades, and my life. She had deliberately let her illness worsen so that after the swap, she could watch me become a pathetic waste of a human being. Last time, she got her wish. This time, she won't even get close. Just as I expected, after my dad disapproved of my stepmother's sugar cure, Ashley threw a tantrum and moved out. She wanted to carry out her vicious plan in secret. But I wasn't about to let her. Ashley had a massive crush on our school's genius, Leo. But she was average in every way, looks, body, grades. All she could do was watch as Leo orbited around me. Part of the reason she wanted to become me was for him. So, I deliberately found a sleazy guy who matched Leo's height and good looks and set him up to play the hero for her. Predictably, Ashley fell for it. After the sleaze stayed the night at Ashley's place again, I decisively showed my dad a news article about a diabetic who had to have their limbs amputated after binging on sweets. Then I added, "Dad, I've heard from a lot of classmates that they've been seeing Ashley at the bakery buying cakes and donuts. If she keeps this up, I'm afraid." My dad never cared much about my affairs. But when it came to Ashley, he was always extra concerned. So in the dead of night, my dad took our family's bodyguards and stormed Ashley's apartment. He kicked open the door to find a man and a woman tangled up naked in bed, with a trash can overflowing with used condoms. My dad was so furious he raised his cane to strike her. Ashley, you absolute idiot. All your classmates are cramming for the SATs, and what are you doing? Shacking up with some random guy you just met. Is this how you repay me for everything I've given you? My stepmother, afraid Ashley would actually get hit, quickly tried to smooth things over. Honey, Ashley has always been so naive. This man must have tricked her. But Ashley was completely lost. What do you know? Vince isn't a liar. I'm with him because I want to marry him. If you say one more bad thing about him, I'll cut ties with all of you. I knew exactly what Ashley was doing, so I deliberately mentioned that I always passed a nightclub on my way home from evening study sessions. I think Vince works there as a gigolo. He's always with a different woman every night. Hearing this, my dad began to tremble with rage. Ashley still didn't care. So what if he's a gigolo? He earns a living with his own skills. What right do you have to look down on him? I'm sticking with Vince, and nothing you say will change my mind. Though she talked a big game, the germophobic Ashley subconsciously shifted away from him. I pretended not to notice and continued my fake concern plea. A guy like that, who sleeps around for a living, you never know what kind of diseases he might have. The next second, Vince, who had been silent the whole time, suddenly spoke up. You don't have to wonder. I do have AIDS. My dad and I scrambled backward in terror. My stepmother's face tensed, and she immediately yelled at Ashley. You silly girl, that's AIDS. What are you just standing there for? Let's go to the hospital and get you on PEP. Any later and it'll be too late. Ashley, dazed, started to get up. But when her eyes met mine, a flicker of an idea crossed her face, and she lay back down. She clung to Vince, refusing to let go. So what if it's AIDS? As long as it's from Vince, I'll love it all the same. My dad was so enraged he threw his cane onto the bed, hitting Ashley square on the head. You stupid thing. If you don't get your ass down here and go to the hospital, this family will no longer have a shameless daughter like you. Ashley clutched her head in pain, but still refused to let go of Vince. My stepmother, who had been frantic just moments before, suddenly calmed down. She stopped trying to get Ashley to the hospital, and instead started talking to my dad about disowning her. Since my stepmother and Ashley were putting on a show, I was more than happy to play along. In the end, my dad, disgusted with Ashley, announced to the world that from now on, he only had one daughter. Originally, my dad had left 3/4 of the family assets to my stepmother and Ashley. But to show how much she loved me, my stepmother publicly insisted my dad change his will. Honey, we can't count on Ashley anymore. If you leave her anything, she'll just squander it. We might as well change it and give everything to Holly. Holly is a good girl. She'll take care of us when we're old. My mother's side of the family instantly saw my stepmother in a new light. In my last life, she used this exact tactic to build her good stepmother persona. No matter how much I cried and screamed that I had been framed by them, that they had stolen my body, no one believed me. Instead, under the guise of treatment, my stepmother had my tongue torn out and my limbs hacked off. She kept me in a flower pot, a living torso. And everyone praised her for her saintly compassion. They said anyone else would have just euthanized an ungrateful daughter like me. Who else would spend so much money to keep me alive? After playing the saint in public, she secretly sold me to a club that catered to sickos with a fetish for amputees, who used me to satisfy their twisted desires. I endured that hell for 2 whole years before death finally set me free. This time, she wanted to pull the same trick. Did she really think I was some pushover she and her daughter could mold and break as they pleased? At the thought, I glanced up at my stepmother. Right now, she was basking in everyone's praise, working hard to build her perfect image. Don't you all worry. From now on, Holly is the apple of my eye. I don't care about any Ashley or whatever her name is. They can all get lost. I will absolutely treat Holly like my own flesh and blood and never let her suffer a single grievance. With the SATs just half a month away, I will make sure our family produces a valedictorian. But she had no idea her good days were numbered. 10 days before the SATs, I celebrated my 18th birthday. My dad and stepmother made a huge deal out of my coming-of-age party. They not only held a banquet at home, but also invited a host of relatives. Naturally, I invited my good friends from class to celebrate with me. My friends' eyes widened in envy when they saw the $20,000 custom cake. Holly, you are way too low-key. You never told us your family was this rich. Yeah, and we never even knew Ashley was your stepsister until we came here today. You have such a good temper, Holly. If someone used my dad's money to show off at school all day and tried to bully me, I would have slapped her a long time ago. Speaking of which, it's your birthday. Why isn't Ashley here to give you a present? Even if she's too petty to get you a gift, Leo is here. You'd think she'd be dying to suck up to him. The mention of Ashley sparked a lot of curiosity among my classmates. One of the bolder ones even asked my stepmother. My stepmother answered vaguely, "Oh, her. She hasn't been feeling well lately. She went out of town for treatment." I glanced at the time, then at Leo, who was eating a piece of cake. Any minute now, a certain someone should be arriving. Just as I was thinking it, our butler rushed in to say that Ashley was at the gate, asking for someone. My stepmother's face flushed with panic as she ordered the butler to send her away. But my classmates were already shouting that they'd go to the gate to greet Ashley. Caught off guard by our large group, Ashley timidly shrank back into the shadows. My stepmother stood in front of her, her face a mask of fury. "Didn't I tell you to stay in your apartment and cooperate with your treatment? Don't wander around. What are you doing here today? Go back right now." She shielded Ashley from view and waved for the driver to take her away. She was so desperate, it was like she was afraid of something. I shoved my stepmother aside and pulled Ashley out from the darkness. When the crowd saw what Ashley looked like, they gasped in shock. "Ashley, it's only been 3 months. How did you blow up like a beach ball? It's so hot out, everyone's in shorts and dresses. Why are you wearing long sleeves and pants? Aren't you afraid of getting heat stroke? It's Holly's 18th birthday today. What gift did you bring her?" My classmates surrounded Ashley, chattering away. Ashley glanced at Leo, who was standing off to the side, completely indifferent. She couldn't help but snap back. "What does Holly's birthday have to do with me? I didn't come here for her." Leo noticed her staring at him and asked, puzzled, "Why are you looking at me?" The classmates burst out laughing. "Ashley, you're really punching above your weight. Leo wasn't interested in you even when you were looking your best. Do you really think he'd like you now that you look like a pig? Keep dreaming. You're so ugly right now, you'd make a stranger lose their appetite. Stop trying to gross Leo out." "Exactly. It's Holly's birthday and you, the stepsister, didn't even bring a gift. You have no shame showing up here." My desk mate, who had always disliked Ashley's arrogance, took the opportunity to shove her. Ashley lost her footing and fell heavily to the ground. Her hands, hidden in her sleeves, slipped out. Her skin was dark and her fingers were twisted. It was a disgusting sight. Leo immediately frowned and pulled me back with him. Seeing this, tears streamed down Ashley's face. "Leo, you're the one who asked me to meet you tonight. Why are you hiding?" The others shrieked and backed away, not forgetting to mock her. "Why would Leo ask you out? You must have lost your mind. Ashley, what's wrong with your hands? Did you catch some kind of disease?" Seeing Ashley weeping, my stepmother grabbed her and tried to shove her into the car. I immediately spoke up to remind everyone. "Aunt Brenda, Ashley has AIDS. You should be careful not to get infected." That really stirred the hornet's nest. Not just my classmates, but all the relatives who had been drawn outside by the commotion erupted. "Oh my God, Ashley, you're disgusting. Why are you running around outside when you have AIDS?" She probably couldn't get Leo, so now she's trying to get revenge. Her heart is so twisted. "Are there any bodyguards? Get this toxic person out of here before she hurts someone." My classmates were terrified, and their words were venomous. Furious, Ashley shoved my stepmother aside and tried to rush toward Leo. But a bodyguard who had just arrived tripped her, and she fell hard to the ground. Ignoring the pain, she sobbed and demanded, "Leo, didn't you write me a letter saying you've had a secret crush on me, and that you'd come to my house tonight to confess your feelings? What's the meaning of this, holding on to Holly? If you hadn't invited me, why would I have dragged my sick body out here just to be humiliated by this pack of bitches?" Seeing the letter Ashley pulled from her pocket, Leo finally understood. "I did write that letter, but it wasn't for you. I don't know how it ended up in your hands." I immediately put on a sorry face and tried to comfort Ashley. I'm so sorry, Ashley. My classmates wrote me birthday wishes in advance, and I must have gotten them mixed up and sent you the confession letter instead of an invitation. I was hoping to use my birthday as a chance to help you make up with Dad and Aunt Brenda. But Ashley wasn't buying my story for a second. Enraged, she picked up a rock from the ground and hurled it at me. Holly, you bitch. What do you mean you mixed them up? I think you did it on purpose to humiliate me in front of everyone. I'm going to kill you, you little slut. Ashley spewed curses at me. A flicker of anger crossed Leo's face. Holly isn't like that. You watch your mouth. Ashley's rage intensified, and she lost all reason. I won't watch my mouth. So what? Not only will I curse her, but one day I'm going to skin her alive, rip out her tongue, chop off her arms and legs, and let 1,000 men have their way with her until she's begging for death. Seeing her words grow more and more vile, Leo coldly kicked her hard against the wall. Ashley clutched her chest in pain, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth. Leo, you dared to hit me? I'm calling the police. I'll make sure you go to jail and miss the SATs. Let's see you chase after that bitch Holly then. Just then, my dad emerged from the crowd. He slammed his cane on the ground and asked in a low voice, You say Leo hit you? Do you have any proof? The others either looked away or loudly proclaimed they hadn't seen a thing. Ashley's face turned beet red as a violent coughing fit choked out her tears and snot. After a moment, she bent over and looked pleadingly at my stepmother. Mom, they're all ganging up on me like this, and you're just going to stand there and watch. With everyone's eyes on her, my stepmother's fingers clenched into white-knuckled fists. My mother's relatives started shouting, Brenda, you're the one who stood in front of all of us and swore you didn't care about any Ashley, and that you'd treat our Holly as the apple of your eye. Do you stand by your word or not? Hearing this, Ashley wailed even louder. Mom, this is all that little bitch Holly's fault. She deliberately set me up to embarrass me. You're not going to help me, are you? You're going to help her? I'm your daughter. Blood was still trickling from the corner of Ashley's mouth, but my stepmother acted as if she didn't see it. She walked up and slapped Ashley twice across the face. She screamed as she did it. You're the one who refused to get treated at the hospital and ate nothing but sweets every day. That's why you're a fat slob with hands like that. You're the one who had no self-respect, shacking up with that gigolo and getting yourself sick. What does that have to do with Holly? I don't have a daughter like you. Get the hell out of here and go back where you came from. My stepmother cursed viciously, and even gave Ashley a hard kick. After venting her rage, she forced a smile and urged everyone back inside to continue my birthday celebration. As for Ashley, she could just rot outside. When my dad saw how she handled it, he was finally satisfied and led the guests away. As I turned to leave, I saw Ashley staring at me with pure hatred. She was muttering under her breath, Holly, you just wait. Everything you have will be mine. I will make you wish you were dead. I was enjoying the show when Leo suddenly stepped in front of me, blocking Ashley's view. He patted my shoulder comfortingly and escorted me back inside. After the party ended, Ashley was long gone from the wall outside, and my wonderful stepmother, Brenda, snuck out in the middle of the night and took a taxi to Ashley's apartment. On the surveillance footage, Ashley was having a complete meltdown in her apartment, screaming, I'm going to kill Holly and her father. I'll chop them into 1,000,000 pieces and feed them to the fish. My stepmother, full of pity, tried to comfort her. Ashley, didn't Mommy tell you? Everything Holly has will be yours one day. You just have to stay home, keep eating sweets, and let your body get worse. Ashley's bloodshot eyes looked like they were about to pop out of their sockets. Her lips twisted into a terrifying snarl as she shrieked, I just can't stand it. Why does that bitch get Leo's affection? Mom, look at me. I don't even look human anymore. How much longer do I have to wait? My stepmother quickly reassured her, Ashley, as soon as Holly's SAT scores are out, I'll swap you immediately. Then Leo will be all yours. Ashley stared at her, then held a knife to her wrist. No, I can't wait that long. As soon as Holly finishes her exams, I want the swap. I can't stand the thought of Leo getting with her after the SATs. Ashley dug the knife into her flesh. My stepmother screamed in terror. Fine, fine. Mommy promises. Just put down the knife and bandage your hand. Having gotten her way, Ashley calmly took out a pre-prepared bandage and carefully wrapped her wrist. After turning off my phone, I got up early and waited in the living room. My stepmother, Brenda, walked in carrying a small basket and jumped when she saw me. "Holly, you must be so tired from your birthday party yesterday. Why didn't you sleep in? You need to rest up to be ready for the SATs in a few days." I chewed my toast and looked at her, my face a blank mask. "Aunt Brenda, it's so early. Where have you been?" Brenda froze for a second, then smiled. "Your exams are right around the corner. I went to the temple to pray for you to get a good score." She took 2 gold bars out of her basket, saying she was going to use the blessed gold to make me a necklace that would keep me safe and bring me good fortune. My dad came downstairs just in time to hear this and was naturally delighted. "Holly, your Aunt Brenda has gone to so much trouble for you. Now that she's married to me, you really should start calling her Mom." Ever since Brenda married into our family, my dad had been trying to get me to change how I addressed her. We'd fought about it so many times that our relationship had become strained. I couldn't believe that just as things were starting to get better, he was bringing it up again. Seeing my unhappy expression, Brenda smiled and tried to smooth things over. "Oh, it's just a title. It doesn't matter. The most important thing right now is Holly's exams. Everything else can wait. We can't do anything to affect her performance." Brenda was so terrified I wouldn't do well that it would ruin Ashley's future prospects after the swap. During that time, she was practically walking on eggshells, afraid of doing anything to upset me. And so the 2 days of the SATs came and went. Afterward, the seniors were like wild horses set free. The day after the exams, Leo came over and asked me to go see a movie. Seeing her chance, my stepmother pulled out the gold choker she had poured her heart into making. Before I could react, she put it around my neck. I frowned, annoyed. "Aunt Brenda, this style is a little old-fashioned. I don't like it." Brenda ignored me, fastened the clasp, and then tried to guilt-trip me. "Holly, this is a style I designed especially for you. The gold was blessed before a statue of Buddha. It will keep you safe. You can't buy something like this anywhere else." My dad chimed in. "Only your Aunt Brenda would be so thoughtful. Most stepmothers aren't this good to their stepdaughters. Be a good girl, or you can forget about your date today and stay home for the rest of the summer." I fiddled with the clasp and pouted reluctantly. Leo tried to speak up for me, but I stopped him. Seeing me leave with the necklace on, a triumphant look flashed in my stepmother's eyes. About half an hour later, during our date, I suddenly fainted. Leo rushed me to the hospital and called my parents. My dad was furious, relentlessly questioning Leo about what he had done to me. Leo was sweating bullets. "Sir, you've misunderstood. Holly and I just went to the movie theater. Halfway through the movie, she suddenly said she had a headache and her chest felt tight, and then she just passed out." My dad didn't believe him. "Bullshit. Holly is as healthy as a horse. She's never had anything like this happen before. You must have given her something. I want the hospital to do a blood test." My stepmother, however, ignored my dad's outburst. The whole time, she just stared at me, watching my every move. When she judged enough time had passed, I slowly began to stir. The first thing I did when I woke up was touch my own body with a look of pure joy. Then I grabbed my stepmother's hand and shouted excitedly, "Mom, quick, get me a mirror." Hearing me call her Mom, my stepmother's face lit up. "My dear Holly, just a moment." After seeing my face in the mirror, I couldn't stop stroking my reflection, an irrepressible laugh bubbling up in my throat. "This face, it's so beautiful." My stepmother cleared her throat, reminding me of the 2 bewildered men standing beside me. I completely ignored my dad, jumped off the hospital bed, and threw myself into Leo's arms. "Leo, you have no idea how scared I was just before I fainted. I was terrified I'd never wake up and get the chance to tell you. I've always been in love with you." Leo was ecstatic. "Holly, are you serious?" I cupped my warm cheeks and nodded enthusiastically. A smile spread across Leo's face, and his warm hand gently pulled me closer. "Holly, I've waited 3 whole years to hear you say that. I'm so glad I waited." His soft words made my eyes burn. So this is what it feels like to hold the person you love, to confess your feelings for each other. If it weren't for Ashley and her mother's evil plot, I would have gone to my dream university with Leo and lived a happy life. Seeing Leo and me clinging to each other, my dad was not pleased. What do you two think you're doing? You just finished your exams and you're already all over each other. You think you did that well? Go home, both of you, and stay away from each other until the scores are out. My stepmother quickly patted my dad's back to calm him down. Honey, you don't need to worry about Holly and Leo's grades. One is first in the year, the other is second. They'll definitely be first and second in the state. You'll have so much to be proud of. At the mention of grades, my dad's expression softened slightly, but he still insisted that Leo and I stay apart until the scores were released. When we got home, my stepmother quietly pulled me into my room and whispered tentatively, Ashley? I threw my arms around my stepmother, jumping up and down with glee. Mom, it's great. Our plan worked. That bitch Holly is finally going to be crushed under my heel, living a life that's not even human. My stepmother, relieved, shushed me. Then she asked what I planned to do with Holly next. I slowly toyed with a strand of hair, a meaningful smile playing on my lips. Holly is in my body now. She must be so scared and confused. She might even pretend to be me and try to trick you into taking her out so she can get help, telling people we used black magic on her. My stepmother scoffed. Does she think I'm an idiot? That I'll believe anything she says? I leaned in close. Of course you won't be fooled, Mom. But if you let her run her mouth, someone else might believe her. Especially that old man and Leo. They saw how I acted at the hospital. They might get suspicious. My stepmother's expression turned sinister. Then I'll make sure Holly never gets the chance to speak. Using some flimsy excuse, my stepmother took me to the apartment Ashley had been renting. As soon as she opened the door, we saw Ashley writhing on the floor, trying to crawl toward us. Mom, locked the door. Put that gold necklace on Holly. I can't wait to take over her body and enjoy everything she has. Ashley's eyes were filled with jealousy and madness. But my stepmother didn't move. Holly, stop the act. Did you really think that after I swapped you and Ashley, I'd ever let you change back? Keep dreaming. My stepmother threw a pair of large pliers on the floor and started pulling on a pair of rubber gloves. Ashley sensed something was wrong and flailed her limbs, trying frantically to explain. Mom, what are you doing? I'm your Ashley. Did Holly trick you? Or did you use the wrong necklace? Did it not work? Why haven't Holly and I swapped bodies? My stepmother kicked her hard in the mouth, cursing as she did. Shut the hell up. I've been putting up with you for months, and it's been hell. If it wasn't for this day, I would have cut you into pieces and sent you to join your dead mother in hell long ago. With her mouth blocked, Ashley could only make muffled, helpless whimpers. I used the tip of my shoe to lift her chin, my voice slow and full of mockery. Holly, I knew you'd try to pull something like this. You love to make up stories, don't you? Well, I'll just have to rip out your tongue so you can't talk anymore. But don't worry, I won't let you die so quickly. After all, the game is just beginning. Whether from anger or fear, Ashley's whole body trembled uncontrollably. The veins in her neck bulged, and she clutched the hem of her clothes. But my stepmother gave her no chance to make another sound. She clamped the pliers onto her tongue and, with all her strength, ripped it out. Amidst a muffled scream of agony and despair, Ashley lost her tongue and became a mute. As if that wasn't enough, my stepmother cooked Ashley's tongue into a dish and forced her to eat it. Watching her terrified eyes reflect my stepmother's gleeful face, I felt a surge of joy. All the pain they inflicted on me in my past life, it was time to settle the score. After forcing Ashley to eat her own tongue, my stepmother brought her back to our house. In front of my dad and our relatives, she began to weep. I know my daughter is thoughtless and has made many mistakes, but she is my own flesh and blood. I can't just watch her die. Please, I'm begging all of you, use your connections to find some help, at least so she can live, so she doesn't have to be so miserable. My stepmother was putting on a show of helping Ashley, but it was all just to build up her own reputation. She had no intention of using any of the medical resources our family recommended. She had already picked out a shady, back alley clinic, and was just waiting a few days to deal with Ashley. Ashley knew what her mother was planning, and shook her head desperately from her spot on the floor. It seemed like she was trying to tell everyone she didn't want her mother's treatment. Faced with the relatives' confused gazes, My stepmother lied. The poor child knows she was wrong. She's shaking her head to show she'll never disobey her elders again. The moment the words left my stepmother's mouth, Ashley burst into tears, opening her mouth wide and screaming silently at her. My dad took a step back in shock. What happened to Ashley's tongue? My stepmother sighed. I told her not to date that gigolo, but she wouldn't listen. She performed certain acts on him. Her tongue became necrotic, so the doctors had to remove it to stop the infection from spreading to the rest of her mouth. Hearing this, everyone looked at Ashley with disgust. I shook my head, clicking my tongue. My dear sister, you really shouldn't have been so willful. It's one thing to ignore Dad and me, but how could you not listen to your own mother? She raised you for 19 years. She would never hurt you. My stepmother nodded in agreement. Exactly. A simple truth that even Holly understands, but this wretched girl doesn't. And when things go wrong, who has to swallow her pride and clean up the mess? Me, her mother. Our relatives immediately started praising my stepmother for her kindness. Ashley thrashed her body against the carpet, trying to express her outrage. But she had underestimated them. These people didn't even see her as human anymore. They wouldn't spare her a single glance. After milking the situation for a few more days, my stepmother was finally ready to take Ashley to the shady clinic. But Ashley thrashed wildly, refusing to let anyone near her. She even tried to bite the ropes to stop them from getting her into the car. My stepmother was frantic and started screaming at her. Are you trying to die? I've had so many famous doctors look at you these past few days, and they all say you're a lost cause. Now that I've finally found a place willing to perform the amputations to extend your life, what are you making such a fuss about? My stepmother called over several bodyguards to force her into the car. My dad stood to the side and asked quietly, Brenda, does Ashley really need to have amputations? Shouldn't you get a few more opinions? I cut in immediately. Dad, Ashley is Aunt Brenda's own daughter. If there was any other way, do you think she would have the heart to let her own child be amputated? What you're saying is just twisting the knife in her heart. Catching my signal, my stepmother started to wipe away fake tears. Mark, do you think I'm some kind of monster? That I could order my own daughter's amputation without a second thought? If you really think that, then there's no point in us staying together. My dad immediately panicked, apologizing and consoling her. He finally managed to calm her down. When the car returned later, Ashley, who had once been a person, was now a limbless doll, stuffed into a large vase, ready to be carved up. While my stepmother was busy, I took a wooden stick and played with Ashley's hair. Ashley, who would have thought? In the end, the one to have her tongue ripped out and limbs chopped off was you. Wouldn't you call that karma? The more you wish for someone else's suffering, the more you end up suffering yourself. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, the SAT scores came out this morning. I'm the state valedictorian. Leo is second. We'll be going to the same university, spending a sweet 4 years together. And you're about to be sent by your own mother to that sick club, to be used and abused by a bunch of old, ugly, vicious scumbags. You'll be begging for death but won't be able to find it, living every day in hell. At my words, the whites of Ashley's cloudy eyes threatened to roll back into her head. Her remaining stumps twitched in the vase, and a garbled whimper escaped from her ruined mouth. Even in her rage, she was so helpless, so pathetic. But my stepmother, rushing back in, saw her like this and, furious, grabbed the stick and started beating her over the head. You little brat! If the Lees hadn't taken pity on you and paid for your treatment, you'd be dead in a ditch somewhere. How dare you get angry at our valedictorian? Are you looking for a beating? My stepmother swung the stick viciously until Ashley's head was swollen and bruised. I smiled and asked her, Mom, you usually avoid hitting her anywhere obvious. Why the sudden change of heart today? My stepmother smiled triumphantly. The day after tomorrow, your father is throwing you a huge graduation party. He's inviting all our friends, relatives, and business partners. This thing is bad luck. I've already promised your father I'll get her to that club today, and make sure she never comes back. Hearing this, Ashley thrashed her stumps wildly to show her displeasure. But my stepmother, thinking it was me, just hit her across the face a few dozen more times without a shred of pity. That night, a group of men quietly took Ashley away. She was delivered to the city's most hidden club, where she became the most requested item for enthusiasts of the limbless. After dealing with Ashley, I started to probe my stepmother. Mom, now that we've taken care of Holly, what are you going to do about the old man? You're not really going to spend the rest of your life waiting on that geezer, are you? My stepmother pursed her lips. Of course not. You know my tastes. If it wasn't for the money, I could never stand that old man. If it weren't for the few boys I have on the side these past few years, I would have died of frustration. I was genuinely shocked. I couldn't believe that my stepmother, who acted so respectful to my dad, was secretly keeping male models. Suddenly, I had a plan. I said casually, the old man's will is already written. If he dies, all the assets go to me. But as long as he's alive, we have to live by his rules. It's so suffocating. My stepmother's eyes lit up. Ashley, are you suggesting I get rid of that old man sooner rather than later? I rolled my eyes. I didn't say that. You did. With that, I walked away. That same day, my stepmother snuck out. She didn't come back until very late. 2 days later, at my graduation party, the place was packed and buzzing with excitement. Leo came with his parents and stuck by my side the whole time. I teased him for being a shadow. Leo just smiled stupidly and laced his fingers with mine. As we wandered into the back garden, we heard lewd noises coming from the garden shed. Leo, blushing, tried to pull me away. Just as we were about to leave, we heard my stepmother's voice from inside. So my darlings, are we satisfying you? Does that old man have our stamina? Mark. That impotent old fool can't even get it up. He's got nothing on you too. Hearing my stepmother's brazen flirting with 2 gigolos, I gasped and covered my mouth. I whispered to Leo, asking what we should do. Leo just sent a text message from his phone. A few moments later, my father, Mark, stormed into the garden with a group of servants. Leo pulled me into the bushes, and we watched as my father had his men drag out a naked Brenda and her 2 lovers. Brenda, her face flushed, struggled and tried to throw herself at the bodyguards holding her. My father, enraged, swung his cane and hit her over the head. The pain seemed to snap Brenda back to reality. She looked down at her naked body and shrieked. Honey, it's not what it looks like. Someone must have drugged me. I don't even know these 2 men. But Brenda's 2 lovers confessed that the 3 of them had been together for over a year. My father was so furious he nearly collapsed. He immediately had someone grab Brenda's phone. As soon as it was unlocked, they found videos and chat logs of Brenda's escapades with her lovers. My father immediately called for his lawyer to handle the divorce. Brenda was terrified and clung to my father's leg. Honey, I just made a stupid mistake. Please don't kick me out. I swear I'll never do it again. Today is Holly's graduation party. All these important people are outside. If this gets out, people will talk. What will they think of Holly? Seeing Brenda use me as a shield, my father swung his cane at her again. Brenda, you have the nerve to mention Holly? You knew all these guests were here, so how dare you do something so shameless in the back garden? Did you really think our family couldn't handle you? My father insisted on proceeding with the divorce immediately. Brenda's expression changed, her meekness vanishing. Mark, you bald old bastard, you dare? I'll run into that hall right now and tell everyone you're impotent. You can't even function as a man. What right do you have to demand I stay faithful to you? Can't I find a way to satisfy my own needs? Brenda blurted out my father's deepest secret. The servants in the room immediately bowed their heads, pretending not to see a thing. My father let out a roar, kicked over a tea table, and screamed hoarsely, Brenda, you're full of shit. Say that again, and I swear I'll kill you. But Brenda just wiped the spit from her face, fearless. Mark, you think I don't know how Holly's real mother died? It's because you're impotent. She wanted to divorce you, and you were terrified she'd tell everyone your dirty secret, so you had someone tamper with her car and cause an accident. And as luck would have it, the man you hired to do it was my ex-husband. My father pointed a trembling finger at Brenda, but his throat seemed to be clogged with phlegm, and he couldn't get a word out. Hearing the truth about my mother's death again, I shot to my feet. Leo held me worriedly. Holly, what your stepmom is saying might not be true. Don't let her get to you. Brenda saw me and laughed. I swear on my life that Holly's mother died at Mark's hands. Does he dare to swear she didn't? Let's see if her headless ghost doesn't come for you in the middle of the night." My father's body shook uncontrollably. He couldn't utter a final word before he coughed up a mouthful of blood and collapsed. Everyone panicked, and the butler called an ambulance. In the chaos, Brenda quickly got dressed and signaled for her lovers to run. Seeing this, I ordered the bodyguards to stop them and then called the police. Before the police arrived, Brenda kept trying to give me meaningful looks. When I didn't respond, she grabbed me and demanded to know what I was doing. I stared at her, my face a blank mask. "You cheated on my father with wild men at my graduation party, caused him to have a stroke and end up in the ICU, and then publicly accused him of murdering my mother. What's wrong with me calling the police to find out the truth?" Brenda was utterly confused, hissing at me in a low voice. "Ashley, you're the one who taught me all this. You told me to provoke Mark, to make him have an attack. Now that Mark is down, you should be happy." Watching my father cough up blood and collapse, I was indeed very happy. After my death in my past life, I learned the truth about my mother's death from a confrontation between my father and stepmother. I never for a moment stopped wanting revenge. Revenge not just on Ashley and her mother, but on my father as well. He killed my mother in a car accident just to protect his so-called privacy. He even fabricated stories about my mother having an affair, preventing her from being buried in her family's ancestral plot. Today's setup was for my stepmother, but it was also for my father. I feigned ignorance and looked at Brenda. "Aunt Brenda, I think you've lost your mind. I'm Holly, not your daughter Ashley." Brenda froze, and her expression turned to one of pure panic. "Ashley, don't scare Mommy. Are you just playing a joke on me?" In a corner where no one could see, I gave Brenda a playful smile. "Aunt Brenda, have you forgotten? The real Ashley has already had her limbs cut off and been sent to a club for men to play with. I wonder if she's even still alive." Brenda understood immediately. Enraged, she grabbed a porcelain cup from a nearby table and hurled it at me. The cup shattered, and a shard grazed my arm. Leo lunged in front of me, shielding me with his body. "Brenda, what do you think you're doing? The police are on their way. If you dare touch Holly, I'll make you pay." Brenda's eyes were bloodshot as she roared at the sky. "You really think she's some innocent little thing? She's a manipulative bitch. She played us all for fools." I peeked out from behind Leo and deliberately provoked her. "Aunt Brenda, I don't know what you're talking about. Ashley got diabetes, and you were the one who stopped her from getting treatment and fed her sweets every day, which led to her amputations. You chose the hospital for the surgery, and you chose the place she was sent after. What does any of that have to do with me?" Brenda's face contorted with rage. She grabbed a shovel from the wall and charged at me. "You ruined my poor Ashley. You're not getting out of here alive today. I'm going to cut you into 1,000 pieces." But with so many bodyguards around, there was no way she could actually reach me. Instead, her frenzied attack got her arrested on the spot. My father was sent to the ICU, where his organs slowly began to fail. The doctors discovered that he had been poisoned. The police searched our house and found the rest of the poison in Brenda's cabinet. My father died from the poisoning. Brenda was sentenced to life in prison. Not long after, Ashley, unable to endure the inhuman treatment, swallowed a spoon and killed herself. After they were all dead, I had my mother's grave moved from its lonely spot outside back to our family plot. Then I went with Leo to college up north. The end.